Alright, here's the deal, guys. We have brand new 2022 Disney Cars diecast reveals, and I'm going to get straight into it because I am super excited to talk about these, and I'm sure you guys don't want me to waste any time rambling about what I usually ramble about at the beginning of videos, so let's dig right in. First off, I do have to thank Trunk Fresh Green 34, Epic Green Thunder, Sensei Luminous, and JS Cars 8 for helping me find these reveals. They were integral to these discoveries, and I want to thank them. And obviously you guys are going to wonder where these reveals came from. They came from Walmart listings by an absolute rigorous and gruesome and extraneous process of finding UPCs. And then the other thing I want to say, just to preface all these reveals, is that there is a massive focus on the original Cars 1 movie, which I personally love to see because it brings the most nostalgia for me. Obviously, that's going to vary person to person, collector to collector, but for me, being, this guy who's been around since the very beginning, I saw Cars when I was 5 years old. I am super pumped about this upcoming 2022 Mainline. We only have singles to talk about so far, but there's a lot of good stuff here. Even if it doesn't seem like it yet, there actually is a lot of good stuff, and we're going to talk about that kind of afterwards and summarize all of the findings here. So first off, we need to discuss race fans. I kind of broke all these cars down into categories or series, if you will, and I want to start here with race fans. Now, there are 4 of them that are pretty much all identical. Like, they're literally following a formula based on their previous releases, and it's kind of hard to explain without getting into an example. The first one being Matthew True Blue McCrew. His last release was as a single in 2017. You know, that preliminary main line before the Cars 3 line that debuted in May. So they released, a couple cases during that time. He was in that, and then he was previously released as a single in 2015, 2014, and 2010. So this is his 5th time being released as a single. Then we have Darla Vanderson, who also was last released as a single in that same exact 2017 Race Fan series. She was previously released in 2016. Timothy Two Stroke, one of the most produced race fans of all time. He also was last released in 2017, believe it or not. And then his previous releases were singles in 2014, 2015, 2016, and then a multi-pack release in 2010. And then last but not least is Bud Windmiller. Now, this is likely some sort of typo. It's probably Brad Windmiller, unless we're getting his brother, cousin, dad, son, Bud. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but I personally doubt it. I think it's Brad because, yet again, his last release was in 2017, previously released in 2016. So my thoughts on these, they're okay. I was hoping for some new releases, but, all things considered, these are going to be nice to see on the pegs, a little change of pace from all the next gens and racers that came out in 2020 and 2021. Next up, we have Rusty's Tent, or, just Rusty's if you want to call it that. We have 3 Rusty cars, all of which have been released before, sadly. Andy Vaporlock. He was only released in 2016 and has become quite rare, so I would assume this is going to be a quite sought-after re-release, and obviously his first time from Thailand. And same thing with the next 2 here. Jonathan Wrenchworth, although the Walmart listing just says W.R. Worth, so that's kind of a leap, I guess, but not really, based on the fact that we know we have Andy Vaporlock coming, so this is probably Jonathan Wrenchworth's. His last release was a single in 2016, and then he was previously released as a single in 2010 and 2013. Same exact description for Donna Pitts. Last release in 2016, 2010, 2013 singles as well. And then her description or title on the listing just reads Pitts, 2 T's, so again, that's probably Donna Pitts. I'm pretty confident about that. Again, I hope we get a new Rusty card this year, and it's very possible that we will, but obviously we're not going to know just because we have no idea. If we get a name, which we will, like a brand new name, we have no idea who that will eventually go to. Next up, I just want to talk about all the racers here, regardless of what movie they came out or they appeared in. The first one being Intersection. Now, hopefully this is flipped over because he's only been released in the elusive Next Gen 4-pack of 2017. I think it was, late 2017, 2018. And now I do believe it's Flip and not Jimmy Cables because of his Endurance release. Obviously, Flipped Over just got an Endurance Racer release, and then Jimmy was just released as a single in 2021. So I would be very upset if they did him again. I really do believe we're getting Flipped Over finally as a single, and I think it's kind of Mattel's like one of their final pushes to make an exciting next gen single, because they've already released all of them except for Apple, of course. So what can they do now? They can re-release Flipped Over, one of the rarest next gens, probably the rarest actually they ever have done. Then we have Ralph Carlow, and again, we don't know if it's Cars 1 or Cars 3 here. Of course, they give us a name, but now we don't know which movie it comes from because he appeared in both. But I probably would guess it's the Cars 3 version. I don't know, I just have a little feeling in my gut. But what I do know is that I'm sure they'll mess up the artwork somehow. They'll probably put the Cars 1 artwork and the Cars 3 diecast. But man, I would like to see some Cars 3 Ralph Carlow artwork. That's really the most exciting thing about this guy. Next up is Jay, the Rusty's Racing Center trainee. Not super pumped about this guy, but I guess it is what it is. We really need a new trainee, primarily that red one that they originally called Sequoia and canceled in 2019. Now we have two listings that literally just say Lightning McQueen. Obviously, we have no idea. We could speculate all day about this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's probably like Rusty's McQueen and then like the Cars 3 version or the Cars 1 version. It's been a while since we got the Cars 1 version of McQueen, so I'd say it's probably, or at least one of them is the original Lightning McQueen from Cars 1. And then we have a big Lightning McQueen, like literally the listing says big. So well, I don't know. I can't really think of a McQueen in the movies that is larger than any others. So really have no clue what this could possibly be. No idea whatsoever, but it's very interesting. So leave your thoughts in the comments below on what you think big Lightning McQueen is. Next up, we have the Meldorado show, which is a series that was only in 2014, but it seems like they're doing a few cars related to it this upcoming mainline. Obviously, Meldorado. This is probably one of the best re-releases so far, aside from Flipped Over, since he was only previously released as a single in 2011, late 2011, and 2014. So I'm kind of excited for this one, and again, new Thailand variant. Now here's one where I'm going to spend probably a minute just extrapolating and just going nuts on this one. Like I probably shouldn't, but you guys know me. This is what I do. This is what we do here at Disney Docket. We analyze the heck out of everything. So the Walmart listing literally just says beaker, as in like a cylindrical tube, glass tube that's used in laboratories, like that you will use in your high school chemistry class. And this is what Jessica Giampetrol used in the movie. So obviously she's the scientist Pitty. And are they releasing her? Probably not, because of the fact that it's just a Pitty and that would be too little to make a single of. And they can't pair her with another one of the scientists. Like, for example, they pair Luigi and Guido together because they're both very small, but these other scientists could be a single on their own. So it's not like they could really pair her with somebody else. And then we know it can't be Lee Race, because for one, he is holding, or he has, an Erlenmeyer flask. That's not a beaker, Mattel. If you think that's a beaker, I'm going to be upset. I'm even going to be more upset if you do release Lee Race, because he was a chase and therefore cannot ever be re-released. So that leaves Nate Stanchion, who is the Mini Cooper. Maybe they are releasing him with a beaker, some sort of accessory that's not the clipboard that he had before. But then again, would that make much sense? Because literally there's a pencil attached to him. So my ultimate conclusion is that it might actually indeed be Jessica Giampetrol, but with some sort of new accessory that is more, that kind of makes her worth the single release. And then again, could not be any of these at all. It could literally have nothing to do with a beaker, and it's just like a complete smoke screen of a title. Moving on now to another just mystery that arose from these Walmart listings. We have Axlerod, like literally Axlero. So pretty clearly that's Miles Axlerod, and it's going to be his first title in re-release, or his first title in release. However, there's another listing for simply Miles. So who knows, that could be an entirely new character, or it could be another version of Miles Axlerod, or it could be some sort of mistake, because I really doubt they'll do two versions of Miles Axlerod so close together. I mean, they really only could do like Miles and then Miles with the microphone. So I kind of think this is some sort of typo or glitch, or just a complete misname of one of the two. Maybe they accidentally split into two listings. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Next up, we have Piston Cup stuff. First up is Checkers. So again, another odd name, super vague. Hopefully, probably Charlie Checkers, the Cars 1 pace car. His last release was in a 2-pack with Lightning McQueen from Thailand, so really this isn't that exciting, but his last single release was in 2015, which was now 7 years ago. That's kind of insane to think about, that 2015 was 7 years ago. Next up for Piston Cup is Pity, which really couldn't possibly not even be Piston Cup. But hopefully, though, I would love to see a brand new Piston Cup Pity. So leave your guesses down below for this guy as well. I would, we're going to get to my little wager in a little bit here. I'll save the wager for later. I'm going to offer you guys something. It's an absolute challenge. And if you're willing to take on the challenge, there will be a reward. All right, Radiator Springs. First up, Mater. So probably just the regular one again, but due to the vagueness of these names, could be a variation as well. Number 2 in this section, we have Tractor. So again, love the vagueness about that. Could be a racing tractor or simply the regular cow tractor, but I'd lean toward it more so being a racing tractor, because the last time they released the typical cow tractor, he was a deluxe, and they did that twice, 2015 and then his 2017 Radiator Springs Classic release. Green Ramon. So this one could be just, the Cars 1 version that we got last year, 2021, as a single, but that would stink because that would be 2 consecutive years of Green Ramon. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's actually Artist Ramon from Cars 2 because of 2 reasons. One, I'm pretty sure for like some sort of preliminary listing for the mini racer Artist Ramon, they called him just Green Ramon. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what they named him as on the case list. And then number 2, my second reason is that they're doing Otis. So yes, Otis, pretty easy to interpret this one. And both of them, Artist Ramon and Otis, were released together as singles in 2016. So it's very possible that they're repeating that, as they are with all those race fans that we talked about earlier. And now moving on to the best of the best here. This is really what you guys probably came to see here. We had a couple of highlights flipped over, Meldorado, whatever the heck Beaker is, but this is really the exciting stuff here. First off, Cruise with Mud and Fire. So this is clearly a Demolition Derby version of Cruise, but I really don't know how that they can incorporate fire into this. Maybe the title is just another smoke screen and they're doing Cruise with that Thunder Hollow trophy, which would be kind of neat, but I just don't see how they could really do any sort of fire with Cruise. Like, I really am just struggling to wrap my brain around that. Next up, all right guys, just take a moment of silence, take a breath, because you might fall off your chair for this one. You might want to lay down somewhere. Bertha Butterswag. And I know the thumbnail gave it away, but here is the official release. Bertha Butterswagon is coming out. This is probably the most highly awaited character of the entire mainline. This may end up being the most anticipated release of the entire mainline, but so far I would say this even trumps Flipped Over. She was canceled in 2010 from the Final Lap collection. She was revealed in the Cars Finder game and the Meet the Cars book. So now, after 12 years of missing in action, she's finally seeing the light of day. Super pumped about that. And then now we have a couple names that we just have no idea who they are, which is kind of exciting, but kind of stinks because we don't know who they are and we're going to have to do some massive speculation. Colin Bohrev, he's named after a Pixar employee, Colin Bohrev. I hope I pronounced that right. He worked on all 3 movies, so it's impossible to tell exactly who this is. But again, fun to guess. Exactly what we did last year with like Dewey Cohnrod, Clovis Ryder, although at the time they were just named Clovis Rid and Dewey Cohn. So, are we finally getting the Thunder Hollow announcer, or is this just another Thomasville racer? Because that seems to be the safe bet, at least in 2021. If there was a name that you didn't know what it was literally a Thomasville racer every single time. Caleb Worley, Ducky Fauntleroy, everybody was a Thomasville racer. And when there was somebody that we had a different name for, like Millie, we already knew who she was because of the Meet the Cars 3 book. All right, then we have Grillante. So this is also probably named after an employee, Rodney Brillante, who worked on Cars 2. So because he worked on Cars 2, does this mean it's a Cars 2 character? I'd say it's possible, but my gut tells me no. They have not done a new Cars 2 character since the deluxe Josh Coolant in 2020. And even that is a stretch for me, just basically because he's a deluxe. And I think before that, the only one they did was like Sergeant Highgear, who was another deluxe. And that was even a super chase. Now, because I was just so desperate for any information, I actually tweeted at both of these guys asking if they had any idea about, a car being named after them, and they didn't respond to me, so that kind of hurts. It's a little sad. I mean, maybe they don't even know. I mean, it kind of begs the question, like, does Mattel say, like, hey, we're going to use your name, we're going to carify it, and we're going to send you some free copies of this car? Or do they literally just, like, find out when they're, like, distant cousins, like, yo, my kid just literally got a car that has your last name? Like, what is this? I don't know, but I tweeted at them. Maybe they're just in absolute shock and they're still spooked about it, so that's why they haven't retweeted or tweeted back at me. And then last but not least, we have a couple unknowns here that we really can't do any speculation on whatsoever, but this is where I will present my challenge to you guys. There's 4 of them here. We have PGPR, and then Diecast TBD, Diecast TBD, and then Diecast TBD. If you can guess who all 4 of these cars are accurately, I will give you one of my canceled cars. One of your, like, whatever one you want, of your choosing. A canceled car of your choosing. You got to get them all right, though. All 4 of them. All 3 Diecast TBDs and the PGPR. I mean, I just have no idea what those could possibly be. But anyways, yeah, that is all for the reveals. I think we got a pretty good slate going so far. Obviously, there's a lot of boring in here as well with the Mater, the Lightning McQueens, the Green Ramon. But I think flipped over Meldorado and these new characters we just talked about will definitely make it exciting. And I think there will be some surprises as well, because you can never tell exactly what things are from these listings, like Beaker. I mean, Checkers could even be something besides Charlie Checkers. So we will see. Everything will be revealed in time. But as for now, that is all the 2022 stuff I have for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, massive thank you to Epic Green Thunder, Trunk Fresh Green 34, GS Cars 8, and Sensei Luminous for helping me with this video. I really appreciate it. Check out their channels in the description below, and I will see you guys soon for another video. Let me know in the comments, though, who you're most excited about for 2022. Bye now. And I'm so sorry I forgot, there is actually a 30-second reveal. Yes, indeed. A 30-second one that is just called Camera Hog Fan. And that is how I'll leave you guys with Camera Hog Fan. Take it for how you will.